All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Bastrop County Town Hall on Data Centers. To those of you who are here in the room and to everybody joining us through the Zoom link, we want to thank you for taking part in this important community conversation. A special thanks to the elected officials that have shown up tonight. Go down this list. Lee County Judge Frank Malinak, State Representative Vicki Goodwin, Lost Pines Groundwater District Patty Jacobs, Tom Arsufi, Lost Pines Groundwater District, Cynthia Meyer, Bastrop City Council, Bastrop Mayor Ishmael Harris, Bastrop City Council Carrie Fossler, Jimmy Jenkins, Smithville City Council, Roland Silva, Elgin City Council, Brian McDaniel, Bastrop County Attorney, and Judge Klaus, the Bastrop County Judge. All right. So, my name's Andy Griffith. Yes, that's my real name. I have a dog named Opie, so, yeah. Well, I told the wife we were going to get a dog named Opie, or our first kid was going to be a son named Opie, and she let me name the dog. So, there we go. To tell you guys a little bit about the man before you tonight, I have served in roles across 3 U.S. presidential campaigns, 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat turned independent, as well as the campaign staff for former Texas governor, and played a leading role in electing one of y'all's members of Congress here tonight. Today, I own and operate Open Ballot LLC, an independent, nonpartisan political consulting firm dedicated to helping independent candidates, third parties, non-establishment Republicans and Democrats navigate their own political journeys. I'm a millennial. I came to political age during a time of profound political and economic disruption. In the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis and following an intensely divisive election cycle, I watched 2 very different movements emerge in this country. On one side was Occupy Wall Street. Its supporters demanded accountability from Wall Street banks, financial speculators, powerful corporations, and government officials. They believed that ordinary Americans had been forced to bear consequences of decisions made by institutions that were too powerful to fail and often too powerful to be held accountable. On the other side was the Tea Party. It demanded accountable government, fiscal discipline, local control, and a return to constitutional principles. They believed that government had become too large, too distant, and too unresponsive to the citizens it was supposed to represent. On the surface, those movements appeared to be complete opposites. They used different language, they came from different political traditions, and they frequently blamed different people. But underneath those differences was a remarkably similar concern. Ordinary citizens that felt their government was no longer listening to them. Both movements believed that the power had been concentrated in the hands of political insiders, major institutions, corporate interests, and well-connected decision makers over the people. They disagreed about the causes and solutions, but they shared a feeling that everyday people were being asked to pay the price for decisions that they had little power to influence. That lesson has stayed with me. Too often, our political system seems more responsive to concentrated wealth and institutional power than it is the citizens that they work for. The citizens who work, raise families, operate small businesses, own land, and build communities. Too often, success is measured by stock price, corporate growth, the size of a new development without asking equally important questions. Who benefits? Who carries the risk? Who pays the long-term cost? And were the people most affected ever given a meaningful voice? We see those questions playing out in communities across Texas. Texans are frequently promised that major economic development projects will bring investment, jobs, and prosperity and opportunity. Sometimes those promises are fulfilled, but communities have a right to examine the complete picture. They have a right to ask how tax abatements are structured, how much water and electricity a project will require, who will pay for the supporting infrastructure, how nearby landowners and small businesses may be affected, and what happens if the promised benefits never truly materialize. Economic development should serve the community, The community should not have to serve the economic development without question. And that is why we are gathered here tonight. This event is hosted by an extraordinary cross-partisan coalition brought together by the League of Independent Voters of Texas and Bastrop County Democrats, the Bastrop County Republican Club, and the Texas Forward Party. Republicans, Democrats, Forwardists, Independents may not agree on every issue. We may not support the same candidates. We may not belong to the same organizations or arrive tonight with the same opinions on data centers. But we agree on something fundamental. When industrial developments this size and consequence arrive, the people who live here deserve transparency. They deserve an opportunity to ask questions. They deserve to understand the potential benefits, the potential cost, and the trade-offs involved. And above all, they deserve the facts, just the facts, and a place for honest public discussion. To begin tonight's conversation, we are privileged to hear from a statewide leader who understands the importance of Texas agriculture, rural communities, private property, water, resources, and local control. He's an 8th generation Texas farmer and rancher and has served as the Texas Ag Commissioner since 2015. His perspective on growth in large-scale data centers and their potential effects on Texas land, water, agriculture, and energy resources is especially timely. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Bastrop County welcome to Texas Commissioner of Agriculture, the Honorable Sid Miller. Yes, sir.
Well, howdy, neighbors. It's good to be here with you. It's actually good to be anywhere besides Austin. So thanks for getting me out of there. Hey, just asked Andrew, I said, hey, what would you like me to talk about tonight? He said, well, about 30 minutes would be plenty. So, but I'm going to hang around for a little bit, take questions. I think we all know why we're here. We're going to talk about data centers. A little bit about myself. I'm a statewide elected official. I've been in this office 12 years. I'm a farmer and rancher, 8th generation farmer and ranching. Still make my living off the land in Stephenville, Texas, where I farm and ranch. I'm a graduate of Tarleton State University with a degree in agriculture. When I got out, I was an ag teacher. So I learned real quick, being an FFA advisor and 4-H leader, that our greatest natural resource we have in Texas, not oil and gas, it's our youth. So we put a big emphasis on that at the Texas Department of Agriculture, because when this country was founded, or even when Texas was a republic, about 95% of the people were into farming and ranching, because if you didn't grow it or kill it, you didn't eat. Today, we make up less than 1.5% of the population. 1.5%, less than 1.5% feed and clothe the rest of us. So it's very important that we reach out to those young people and get them involved in agriculture. So I just wanted to share that with you. We're here tonight to talk about the rapid expansion of data centers, and I have to admit, I'm obviously a conservative Republican. I'm a Trump supporter, and when the president came out and said we're going to be in a race, AI race with China, and we're going to win it, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. We don't want China to beat us. But things have kind of changed a little bit since then. Number one, we've won the race, by the way. China has quit building them. They've decided that their infrastructure couldn't handle any more of them. So I think Texas has more than China, actually. I think they kind of may end up like emu farms. There may be just too many of them. But in 5 years, technology will change, and I don't know what the horizon will look like. So, but we know that technology is forever changing. We know that I've got my iPhone 17 now. I've had 17 different versions of my phone. So probably be a new one next week, and mine won't work anymore. So I was really the first statewide official that got concerned about this, Republican or Democrat for that matter, over a year ago, long before my election in the primary. I was concerned because I saw the number of farms we were losing, the data centers, solar farms, crypto mines. I mean, you name it. We're losing a farm a week. We can't feed the world once we pave over concrete over this land, it's gone. We're not ever going to farm it again. So I went to work on that. That was the first problem. This is before the electricity and water issue came to the forefront, and we figured out, that's going to be a problem too. So I've been to Washington, D.C. 6 or 8 times working with the Texas delegation, and I come up with an idea called Agriculture Freedom Zones. And what this does gives them incentive to build somewhere besides our very best farmland right here on the Grand Prairie. Get over on some non-productive land, some barren land, some rocky land, and we'll make it worth your while. We'll give you some, deferred capital gains or accelerated depreciation or something. I've never really liked regulations. I believe more in incentive, encouraging people to do it. And you can put, with the data centers, you can put the solar farms and crypto mines and a few other things in there with that are taking up our farmland. So we've got that going. A lot of y'all know Congressman Pete Sessions. He's represented some of you in here. He's filing that. He's drafted it. So hopefully we'll get that passed, and that'll be something. So far we've got nothing. So at least maybe we can give them some direction to where they build and get them out of our very best farmland. Since then, it's become apparent that they use tremendous amounts of water and electricity. I'll give you an example. We've got, in 2023, we had our maximum we've ever had load on our grid. It was in the summer of 2023. Most people think it was February of 21 when we had the ice storm, but actually we used more electricity in the summer of 2023. The total load on our grid was 85 gigawatts. If we'd went to 90, we'd have had blackouts like we did during the freeze, the rolling blackouts. So we almost went down. If all the data centers that are hooked up to the grid and have applied to hooked up to the grid get hooked up, it's about 500 of them, they will pull almost 500 gigawatts. That's more than 5 times what we can do. I mean, that dog won't hunt. We cannot do that. Our governor's, he's part of my party, but I have to tell you like it is. He's the one that brought him in here. He enticed him in here. He wanted to have more data centers than anybody in the state. Well, he's got his wish. I think we've passed Virginia now. They come here, and it's one of the reasons they come is because of our counties have no ordinance making authority. They have no rule making authority. I mean, you don't even have to, do building codes in Texas if you get out the city limits in the county, unless you're in the ETJ or something like that. So they can just do whatever they want, and as much of it as they want. So that's a problem. That's a problem because we just have to have absolutely no say. So they come into our communities, they buy our very best farmland, and they like it because it's clean and flat, and they don't have to, take any, they can just start right off. And that's why they'll pay a premium for it. They don't like land that they have to level and clear off buildings or trees or things like that and do drainage and whatnot. So they come in, they want to hook up to our grid. We just can't do that. They use water to cool the data center and the power if they're making their own power, lots of it. We were already out of water before the data centers got here. I mean, I'm the ag commissioner. We lost a whole industry in the valley because we didn't have any water. We don't grow sugarcane in Texas anymore. Our last plant closed down there. We pushed out acres and acres of citrus. No water. We can't keep the citrus trees alive. Our farmers down there in the Winter Garden area, in the Rio Grande Valley that grow our vegetables, they grow 5-6 crops a year. Last year, they grew 1. That's all the water they had. A lot of them are filing bankruptcy. They can't make it if they can't grow a crop. And their land's more valuable for a data center or a housing development than it is to try to farm and make a living on it. So we're losing ground there. So back to our governor, he brought them here. I raised the red flag, and about 6 months ago, I said, we have to have at least a 1-year moratorium. Just stop, hold up. This is getting away from us. We have got to put some guardrails around this industry, or we're going to be in a huge train wreck. Governor didn't listen to me. He actually did a 6-month moratorium. But the reason I wanted a 1-year moratorium is the legislature will come in January, finish in June. Whatever they pass will be law by September 2027. Then we'd be in business. They'd give us time to prepare and put some guardrails and regulations over this industry. Well, he give the 6 months. That conveniently gets him right past his re-election. And then he can do whatever he wants. But you have to realize that he's taken millions and millions of dollars in campaign donations from the data center industry. I mean, it's a bunch, probably more than anybody else. So it's more like a wink and a nod, to his campaign donors that, hey, you're going to be fine. You're going to be grandfathered in. Go ahead and get done what you want to do. And then he comes out and says stuff that, he's pandering to votes. Like, all we have to, these data centers are going to have their own electricity and they're not going to be able to use our water. But he just says that. That's not an executive order. That's not a rule. That's not a law. It's just something he said. Means nothing. So that's a problem. So we're dealing with that. I'll give you an example why he's kind of burning the candle at both ends. The data center people were complaining that the process to get approved to hook up to the grid from ERCOT or PUC was taking way too long. They needed faster service. So what did Abbott do? Which they don't even need to hook up, really. We don't need them to hook up. That's the problem. He said, I tell you what, y'all just put them in batches and approve them all at once. That'll be a lot faster. Just lump them all together. Did y'all see that? The batches? Yeah. It was put out, 30 days ago? He just told me, yeah, just put them all, lump them all together and just approve them all at once. So by spring, they'll all be approved. And, so I appreciate y'all coming out tonight. I hope you learned something. I don't know if we have other speakers or what the program is tonight. I don't want to take up all the time. But I'll be here as long as I need to be, or you want me to be. And my office is always open. You can follow a lot of this. I'm very how many of you follow me on Facebook or some other? Oh, about half of you. So I've got over 1 million followers, probably 1.5 million on social media. So you can find me at Miller for Texas. We put up a lot of information on these data centers on our Facebook. You can also find us Texas Agriculture Department. We've got probably 250,000 followers there. We try to keep the public informed. We probably talk more about this subject than any other elected official in the state. Now, we do have some Republicans that are with us on this, but we need more, to join us. We're going to lose some elections over. This is the hottest issue in the state right now. And Republicans better wake up because the Democrats are right on this issue and they're owning it. And yeah, they are. So now it's not all doom and gloom. We've got a couple of things in the future. We're not there yet. So the 1-year moratorium would help greatly on this, that we might be able to live with the data centers. The one thing that first one I'm going to tell you about is something called SMRs. I don't know if you've heard about these or not, but that stands for small modular reactors. And those are nuclear reactors. They're similar, but a lot safer than what we use on our submarines and our aircraft carriers. We've been doing that for 60 years without any accidents. And these are more safer than that. You can put these in for the data centers. They could power them. They go underground, so they don't make any noise. There's no light pollution. They don't use any water. So they could actually produce extra power and put power on the grid and maybe lower our electric rates. That would be something, wouldn't it? That would be a positive. We're not there yet. It'll be at least 1 year before the first ones come off the line and are available, for installation. The other thing we have no water, and some of these areas have a lot of water, but we can't get to it. There's something called deep earth water. I like to call it Genesis water. Some of y'all shaking your head, you've heard of it. Not many people have heard of it. But if you study the Bible, the book of Genesis, it says, and the earth opened up and the water came forth and flooded the land. That was what I call Genesis water. That's the water deep in the earth. There's oceans and oceans of water, but it's so deep we can't get to it. But it's under high pressure, just like oil or gas. And it tries to make its way to the surface to get pressure relief. And as it makes its way up, if you hit one of these little fingers, you have something called an artesian well. It just shoots out of the ground. You don't even need a pump. I mean, it just comes out. Well, we have technology now. We're almost there. We've actually found some of these wells in the United States already with this technology, but it's like MRI technology, where they take pictures, but they slice the ground like this, back and forth in layers and layers and layers. Well, they can find these little fingers. It may only be a 10-foot wide section. Well, we have the entire United States map. We know where these fingers are. And you can actually drill with a 95% accuracy and hit one of these deep earth water wells. And there's a company I know of, they will guarantee you a well. If they don't hit, you don't pay them. I mean, that's a pretty good guarantee. I mean, this is a real thing. But we're not there yet. There's not enough companies doing it. There's a well or two in New Mexico, but they've used a lot of them in Saudi Arabia, in the desert out there. They're turning that into very variable farmland. So we've got these SMRs, but we need time. They're not here yet. We need this deep earth water. We could bring our sugarcane production back. We could do a lot of things if we could. And this water has never seen the atmosphere. It's like the most pure water that you've ever seen. So it's going to revolutionize farming and industry once we're able to use this technology. So with that, let me open it up for comments or questions, and try not to give a sermon. Try to have an honest answer and keep it simple. Right over here, do we need to take a mic out, or we want to just try to see if people can talk loud enough? I don't know if we have two mics.
All we have is a second mic.
I tell you, if you have a question, come right out here in the aisle, and they've got a mic set up. Just come up here and ask your question from the mic. Or we'll take comments too, but try to be respectful of everybody's time. Right here at the mic. The question up here at the front while we're getting ready, how deep are these deep earth water wells? It depends. Some of them are 200 feet, some of them 500, some 1,500. It depends on how big that crack, how close that crack has got, up to the surface. So each one would be different, but they would have to be close enough to be, reasonable cost to drill it. But we can't drill all the way to the core of the earth. But if we can find these fingers, yeah, it works. And we know there's of artesian wells where that somebody just hit one at it, Right. Okay. You're up.
My name is Beverly Samuel. I live in Red Rock, which is just not too far away. My concern or question, and I'm just kind of getting up to speed with a lot of the really, potential issues that can happen. And I wonder what kind of ground runoff studies they do when they're going to concrete over 2,000 acres of property.
Yeah.
And our water is already scarce. And what do they do with the disposal? How do they dispose of the water they're using? Because if they need that many gallons a month or a week or whatever it is they say.
This,
What are they doing with it?
well, thank you for asking that. Y'all hear the question, what do we do with the water that they produce after they get through using it? Where does the runoff water go on 2,000 acres after you pave over it? These are the kinds of questions that we need the legislature to address. Right now, there's no answer to this because they don't answer to anyone. There's no regulation, there's no oversight. So that's why the legislature needs to meet and put parameters and guidelines around this. The
So they're-
TCEQ probably has some oversight on runoff, but only on the direction of it.
Right. but
And
they-
there's
but
no regulation on the water quality as it relates to data centers, because we've never had any before.
So they're not even required to do any kind of.
Not that I'm not
environmental
that
or
I'm-
Water study or runoff study.
There's no studies that I'm aware of before they get to build. I think they can just, get approval from the TCEQ and go ahead,
Thank you.
unfortunately. But they need some. You're right. They do need some. Yes.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Baker with Keller Williams Realty. I am an advocate for people getting the home that they want and having peaceful enjoyment of it, which is one of their bundle of property rights. And a lot of discussions really overlook the noise pollution.
Oh, yeah.
And when we're talking about, especially on Wolf and Pierce, those homes all around are certainly going to be impacted. And we're working class people. This is sometimes the biggest investment that we have. And sometimes it's the only home that some of these people will ever have. And when they experience the noise pollution, how are they going to peacefully enjoy that? How are they going to live in the comfort of their own home? That's the first thing. But the second thing is, while I appreciate that these data centers are looking for alternative means to fuel their, to take some of the stress off the grid, as they say, this one is saying that it's a gas plant. So exactly how is the gas going to get from the source to the facility? Are they going to pipe it in? How many easements are they going to require? How much land are they going to take in over and above the actual facility
Sure.
to
No,
make that
that's
pipe
a
possible?
huge concern. So let's deal with the noise. You had a two-part question: noise and eminent domain and right-of-ways for electric lines and gas lines and possibly water lines to come into these. So the noise situation is a prime example. Since the governor's not going to do a one-year moratorium, I've called on him to do a 30-day special session to deal with this. All right. He's probably not going to do that. I haven't, you know what's shocking? I hadn't heard back from him. But you know what? I've never got a meeting with him in 12 years. I've never heard back on anything I asked him in 12 years. He's never responded to an email, a letter, a phone call, request for a meeting, nothing, crickets. And he doesn't do just me that way. It's everybody. So we need a special session so the legislature can come in with guidelines. Like for the noise situation, there needs to be a setback of 3 miles from any residential area or a school or, things like that. We don't have it. They can build right up next to, a housing project. And
they
they have and will.
Yes.
But the governor's not interested in stopping that. Now, there's ancillary problems, and you touched on those. Where does the gas come from? How does it get there? Well, we have to use eminent domain to bring, the gas lines to them. We have to build these huge, what do they call it? 765? They're monsters, just monsters, and cross people's ranches and farms, and it just upsets people's lives. We do every year the Family Land Heritage Program. And that's where we honor these farm and ranch families that have been on the same land for 100 years, 150 years. We've done some for over 200 years. And when these lines and pipelines and right would come across the ranch, it just kills them. It's just devastating to those families. And they can't do one thing about it. So we need parameters on how that gets there. And so you're exactly right. But short of a special session, these data centers are going to be grandfathered in. If they can get everything done they need to do or approve what they need to do by new laws will not take effect until September 1st of 2027. We don't have that long. That's why we need a special session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Yes.
my name is Michelle Greer. I work in tech. I have sold software that provisions
Speak up
servers.
close to the mic.
My name is Michelle Greer. I have sold software that provisions servers. I have sold AI agents. I'm also a pecan farmer and a rancher. So I understand this issue. I've had to understand this issue at length. I know that Greg Abbott loves his data center money. And I understand why these companies are so excited. In tech, we call these are the sellers of picks and shovels for AI. And it's really exciting to sell picks and shovels because you make so much money. But the reality of AI is OpenAI lost $20 billion last year. That's speculated. And they don't have to disclose it because they're a private company. So these companies are costing money. You have to think about AI as the loss leader for the picks and shovels companies that are funneling money into Greg Abbott's campaigns. And you're asking us, not you, they're asking us to subsidize these companies with tax abatements,
Exactly.
these picks and shovels companies that are taking away our farmland and our water. So what I want to, and then they tell us, they have the audacity to tell us what you read on Facebook's not true. I'm like, let me show you how to provision a server remotely and show you how many jobs this is going to make. So what I want to know, and maybe if Abbott's not taking your calls, you might not know, do they have any independent consultants on if we should be doing this? What are the water risks? What are the long-term risks? Like, what is the long-term viability of this stuff?
No.
Right? Are there
Not that
any
I'm aware.
independent consultants or studies? Because all we see are lobbyists for picks and shovels and our tax dollars subsidizing that. And we're supposed to say this is supposed to beat China. And I say that's a joke because what China's putting out there is open weight anyway, and you can download it, put it on your computer. Give me a break.
Sure. Well,
So are there
good, excellent statement.
that advocate for us, for Texas taxpayers, every property taxpayer in here who is subsidizing these industries out of our own pocket?
It's your taxpayer. Abbott, to entice them here, he gave them $1.3 billion. Yeah. $1.3 billion of your money to the data centers to get them to come here. But by 2030, that will be $5 billion of your money. Yeah, me too. All right, next. Yes, sir.
With respect, Commissioner Miller, I'm going to face the audience because I'd really like to talk to all of you. My name is Carolina. I'm a resident of Elgin. My job is to support and train young and beginning farmers to be their own best advocates so that we can have a future with farmers. Do we love farmers in Texas? Do we love ranchers in Texas? The future of farming does not only rely on whether or not there are going to be data centers, but land is the #1 challenge that young and beginning farmers have to starting and staying on their land. This is national data. So we all have a precious thing. We have a vote. We have a vote. I am a naturalized citizen. I became a citizen at 20 years old. That is precious. I vote in every election, and I hope you do too. And the other thing I can tell you is that your representatives, they will listen to you if enough of you call. We cannot be complacent. and let them steamroll us. We cannot have Texas taken by billionaires and bankers and tech companies. Is that what we all want? No. So there are lots of people who have something they can do about it. They will tell you that there is nothing that can be done. Nate Sheets, who is running for ag commissioner for the Republican Party, he will tell you there is nothing that can be done by the ag commissioner. Then why is he receiving hundreds and thousands of dollars in donations from these tech companies if there's nothing that can be done? So Clayton Tucker is running for the Democratic ag commissioner. I do not work for him. I am just a fan of people who get shit done. Pardon my cussing, but I'm pissed. I live in Elgin, and this is the most beautiful county. My partner has a farm in Bastrop, and our neighborhood, at the pristine agriculture on the Colorado River is now gravel mining and SpaceX. These are people who are coming in who do not value the land and the culture and the history of Texas. So
You're great, but you're done. We love you.
thank you. I was gonna say, Don, thank you. Okay.
Ladies and
We gotta
and
stop. We gotta
gentlemen,
move on.
I've gone over my time a little bit. We've got some really good speakers coming up. There's going to be time for more questions, so hang on to it. Don't go away. We'll get to you, I promise, but we're going to let somebody else get up here instead of some stuffy politician to talk to you, okay? Thank y'all. God bless you.
All right, guys, if y'all remember who was in line in what order when we get back to the open mic session at the end, we'll definitely be taking more questions, and I've asked Sid to stick around for later session. So Commissioner Miller, everybody, thank you guys very much. Let's see. Our next agenda item tonight is two videos that have been put together. I also want to point out that if you look at the packets that you guys have, the bios for most of the people responsible for tonight are in there. Let's see. We want to give a special thank you also to the fact checkers that helped put this video together, as well as a fire expert, Gary Oldham from Round Rock, Texas, who helped put the data center and fire video together. We're going to play two videos back to back, and then we're going to hear from Nick Lealos, an attorney on proposals for county action when it comes to data centers. He's going to go over the different counties and how they fought back. So without further ado, let's cue the videos.
Understanding AI and the data centers coming to Bastrop County. Currently, we're talking about AI and the data centers coming to Bastrop County. We will cover what AI is, why it needs these facilities, and the facts on the ground at Bastrop. This is presented plainly so you can draw your own conclusions. No sales pitch, just plain language and sources you can check yourself. Before we start, here's the format we used. This presentation is a shared starting point, not the final word. Every number we show comes from a public source. This is neither a pro-data center nor an anti-data center presentation. It is an explanation of the technology and the documented facts. Water and power use are real community concerns, and we will not minimize them. We still have time to ask questions and strategize an action plan. But y'all don't take too long. The dance is already gone and started. What AI is. Most of today's AI, like chatbots and image generators, work by finding patterns in massive amounts of existing data to predict what comes next. You use a simple version every day, such as auto-completing forms. Modern AI does the same thing on an enormous scale. Most importantly, this software does not think or reason like a human. It is simply statistics operating at an immense scale. Training and everyday use. AI runs in two stages, training and everyday use. Training happens first, where the system processes massive data pools to map out patterns. This requires the most computing power, but typically happens only periodically. The second stage is inference, everyday use. This occurs 24 hours, 7 days a week, whenever someone sends a prompt, generates a picture, or gets a recommendation. Both stages require specialized hardware housed in data centers. Why AI needs a huge building. AI models run on thousands of specialized computer chips working together continuously. A data center houses these chips alongside the electrical, cooling, and backup power systems needed to run them 24/7. Larger AI models require massive hardware footprints. This is why companies build them here, where open land and reliable power are available. That is the link to the 578,000 square foot building on FM 535. What's inside the building? Inside, there are four main components. First, server racks, rows of computers running AI calculations built for high-density power. Second, electrical infrastructure, transformers and backup generators built to an N+1 standard, meaning there is an extra backup for every critical component. Third, cooling systems to manage the intense heat which drive resource use. Fourth, the physical shell, a massive low-occupancy warehouse structure with few daily workers. What EdgeConNeX has published. This data comes from EdgeConNex's technical spec sheets and is not independently verified. Power and cooling. Built with N+1 redundancy, it delivers over 100 kilowatts per cabinet for AI, 20 kilowatts for cloud use, and uses automated climate controls. Security and network. Includes man traps, PIN video access, 24/7 CCTV with 90-day storage, a dedicated NOC, and separate fiber entry points. Safety and design. Uses zoned dry pipe sprinklers. It is marketed as a Tier 3 concurrently maintainable facility, meaning repairs require zero downtime. Public filings confirm the project's scope, size, and cost, but hide interior layouts, brands, and customer identities. What's being built, where, and by whom? The developer is Virginia-based EdgeConNeX, operating over 90 data centers worldwide. This site is a 140-acre campus in Cedar Creek at FM 535 and Wolf Lane. State filings show 3 buildings proposed so far, one at 578,000 square feet and 2 at 730,000 square feet each. Combined construction costs exceed $1.4 billion. A third larger campus has been discussed publicly, but no permits are filed yet. The power question. Each planned building is expected to draw up to 96 megawatts of electricity at full capacity, enough to power a small town. For context, the Austin-San Antonio region had roughly 5,600 megawatts of data center capacity under construction as of mid-2026. This project is part of a massive regional surge, not an isolated case, and reflects broader ongoing conversations about Texas grid capacity and costs. The tax abatements. Property taxes from large industrial sites can be substantial, so developers often ask local governments to abate or defer a share of those taxes. In 2024, the Bastrop Commissioner's Court negotiated a 75% 10-year staggered tax abatement for this project. These negotiations were private, and the public commented only after the deal was largely finalized. School and emergency district taxes are completely unaffected by this county-level abatement. If all 4 buildings are completed, the county estimates the site could reach up to $5 billion in assessed value. The water question. County officials state this first campus will use a closed-loop cooling system designed to use far less water than a housing development. The current request is for 350 living unit equivalents compared to the 750 units a housing development on that same land would have required. EdgeConNeX targets company-wide water neutrality by 2030 using low water cooling. Keep in mind, low water cooling systems save water but require significantly more electricity to run. The water question clarified. Aqua Water Supply entered a service agreement to provide potable water to the FM 535 development. It covers 350 living unit equivalents with a maximum flow rate of 210 gallons per minute, which equals the usage of 350 residential homes. EdgeConNeX is a standard utility customer and will not pump directly from the aquifer, staying within Aqua's existing permits. To evaluate brackish groundwater options, EdgeConNeX secured a test well permit in the deep Trinity Aquifer. Geologically, the site does not sit above a fresh aquifer. The fresh Carrizo-Wilcox Aquifer sits 2 miles east. Jobs and tax revenue. The first campus is estimated to create about 50 permanent jobs with an annual payroll of $5.8 million. Over 10 years, the project is expected to bring roughly $100 million to Bastrop ISD and $5 to $7 million to Bastrop County, even with tax abatements. For comparison, the undeveloped land currently generates just $25,000 a year. Note that these figures come from company and county public statements and are not independently audited. Where to check these facts yourself. Here's where you can verify this data yourself. The Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation, the Bastrop Central Appraisal District, Bastrop County Commissioner's Court, and local reporting. LIV presents the Bastrop Data Center Information Collaboration, narrated by LIV board member David Jones. If you have questions and you would like more discussion, email us at contact@livtx.org or phone us at 512-360-8754. And you can visit us on our website, livtx.org.
Hello, Bastrop. I'm Gary Oldham, co-founder of Protect Round Rock, a truly grassroots citizen advocacy group that was formed last December to oppose the 9th data center that was proposed in Round Rock. And I'm here today to talk to you about the immense fire risk data centers present to your community. Before we begin, a little bit about myself and my qualifications to speak on this subject. I'm a member of the International Association of Fire Chiefs and the National Fire Protection Association. I'm one of the architects of the Incident Command System, the framework that's used across the country and beyond to manage emergency incidents. And I'm a graduate of the National Fire Academy's Executive Development Program. I spent a career in the fire service, including as a chief officer. As some of you might know, just last month, Texas A&M, UC Berkeley, and George Washington University released a joint study on the immense fire risk presented by data centers. One of the key factors is that data centers often include equipment that is novel and unproven, and electrical systems that don't have a fault and failure record upon which we can take lessons. The study also talked about the numerous ignition sources for a fire in a data center, including battery failures, thermal runaways, arc flashes, improper maintenance, construction problems, and human error. Collectively, these present an immense challenge to firefighting operations. But beyond a study, let's take a look at something that happened right here in Round Rock. In March of 2024, the Round Rock Fire Department responded to an early morning fire at the Sabi data center right here behind me at 1300 Lewis Henna Boulevard in Round Rock. That fire took place in a battery storage outbuilding where banks of batteries were stored. To combat that fire, it took the entirety of the Round Rock Fire Department and mutual aid partners. 14 pieces of fire apparatus and 44 firefighters were needed to extinguish that blaze, and it took 5 hours to do so. Think about that in the context of the Bastrop Fire Department, for instance. The Bastrop Fire Department operates one engine and a quint, and they're staffed by 3 career firefighters, augmented by volunteers. The several ESDs in Bastrop County are also small. They don't have a lot of equipment, and they're typically staffed by a combination of career and volunteer firefighters. Fire departments often rely upon mutual aid, where other fire departments come in and assist on large fires. Bastrop County has certainly seen that in action, whether it's the 2011 wildfire siege or incidents before or after that. But mutual aid is no substitute for having a fire department that is adequately staffed and resourced and equipped to handle the community's fire load. The city of Bastrop, the ESDs in the county, none of them or collectively are they equipped to handle even one fire in a data center. That's not a knock on them. They're providing reasonable fire protection for the normal fire risks in the community. But data centers do not present a normal fire risk. During the Sabi fire, smoke laden with contaminants from the thermal runaway battery fire, carrying carcinogens, heavy metals, and other toxins, entered the residential neighborhood that's immediately adjacent to the Sabi data center. I'm facing a house less than 50 feet away, and you can see just how close the data center is behind me. To your right is phase 2 that's well under construction, doubling or more the size of the original facility. Water runoff from the fire suppression efforts, also completely contaminated with the same carcinogens, heavy metals, other toxins, entered a storm drain and entered a tributary to Brushy Creek. At no point did either Sabi or the city of Round Rock notify or warn nearby residents or anyone else or the media about the incident or the immense risk it presented to the community. Every one of the 44 firefighters at the scene was also exposed to those horrifically toxic materials, and each of them will carry that ticking time bomb inside them for the rest of their lives. Extinguishing a data center fire can take between 1 and 2 million gallons of water. Let that sink in. Between 1 and 2 million gallons. Delivering that much water takes a robust water supply system and the means by which to access it. In Round Rock, we're fortunate to have a strong municipal water supply and abundant fire hydrants. I very much doubt that's the case for data centers being built or proposed in Bastrop County. Sure, you can build data infrastructure, but it's a very expensive proposition with excavation, installing mains, pumping stations, hydrant systems. It's going to cost a lot of money. And who's going to pay for that? And who should? And so to recap, let's remember that the battery storage outbuilding fire we had here in Round Rock, a 1,000 square foot roofless building, took 14 pieces of apparatus and 44 firefighters 5 hours to extinguish. These data center buildings, the primary buildings, can easily be 100,000 square feet. That's 100 times larger than the outbuilding that burned here. Many are much larger. The most recent data center approved in Round Rock can be up to 250,000 square feet. And what if, God forbid, a data center fire took place at the same time as one or more wildfires were burning in Bastrop County? Or what if the data center fire caused a wildfire? Think how depleted your resources would be. If a community's fire department is not adequately staffed, equipped, and resourced to fight a data center fire, your elected officials should never consider approving a single data center in your community. Demand that your local elected officials put the people of Bastrop County first, the environment first, and everyone's safety, health, and well-being first. Thank you for watching.
Next up, we have Nick Lealos. He's an attorney from Elgin, Texas. And he's going to discuss what communities are doing to fight these things.
right, thank you. Sometimes I'm accused of not speaking loudly enough, so if you need me to shout, just put your hands up, okay? So tell me if you've heard this one before. Local officials desperate for growth and jobs making backroom deals with shady corporations in exchange for tax abatements. Local citizens, average people doing everything they can with incomplete tools, fighting against entrenched corporate power and often the government in order to protect their communities and losing more often than they win. Technology outstripping the laws that are designed to contain it and ensure that it maintains its position as a servant of human interest and prosperity, not the other way around. That is the story of America. That is the story of Texas. That is the story of Bastrop County right now. My name is Nick Lealos, and I am a private citizen right now. In my professional life, I am a career public servant and attorney, and my specialty is open government law and cybersecurity and privacy. So this matters incredibly to me, and I have a fair amount of expertise. So hopefully you'll accept my opinion on some of this, and we can passionately disagree later if we need to. We are going to discuss tonight the way that other communities throughout the state of Texas have struggled to thread the needle between the rational desire for economic growth, local control, transparency, and legitimate concerns about privacy and the out-of-control accumulation of technology and power in private hands that we are confronted with on a daily basis in our lives. I'm going to start by talking about a few cases we have that are recent in the news. You're probably familiar with them already. And I should go ahead and say, I'm going to do this every once in a while to advance the slides. So you've probably heard of some of these in terms of recent case studies, Hill County, San Marcos, and Hays County. And the intention when we're talking about these is figuring out what we have to gain as a community by analyzing their successes and their failures and how we can operationalize them at the county level to achieve transparency, to achieve citizen involvement, and most of all, achieve a measure of local control and reestablish a position of trust between our citizens and the people who make the decisions on our behalf. So let's go ahead and start by talking about Hill County. So Hill County passed a moratorium for a few months in order to ensure that they had some way of ascertaining how many data centers were there and how many were actually operating kind of under the radar. And one of the things that we'll discuss later is at the time they passed this moratorium, the county government didn't even know about 3 or 4 data centers that had already been established and operating there that they had no notice of before they passed this moratorium. Now, of course, when they did this as a county government, they have limited authority. They do not have generalized zoning authority. They're not a city. And so they don't have the same toolkit to try to police the establishment of data centers or their impact on the population that a city would. In response, the landowner, the data city developer, sued the county, and they were forced with a difficult choice. They could either rescind their moratorium, they could try to bargain privately with the company and see if they withdraw the lawsuit and get some additional protections for their citizens, or they could just call it quits and let the company do whatever it wanted. They met privately, and in a subsequent open meeting, they rescinded their moratorium and instead replaced it with something some of us may be familiar with, that is essentially an industrial policy and a checklist that was designed to ensure that there was a maximum amount of transparency related to the environmental and human costs of the data center development. And it cited specifically in this checklist they established all of the existing laws that the data center would have to comply with and the information that needs to be provided to ensure that the public can ensure that compliance is happening. In addition, although they did rescind their moratorium, their county judge has since taken the affirmative step of publishing on the county website all the information and correspondence related to the data center development so that there's affirmative, direct, non-reactive transparency for the citizens of that area. And I should talk a little bit about why it's important that we distinguish between what counties and cities can do here. The lawsuit against Hill County proceeded on 2 different grounds. One was a fancy lawyer term called ultra vires. Some of you may know what that means. It basically means that county government exceeded its legal authority, that it didn't have a grant of legal right to regulate the land in this way. And you're going to see that a lot of counties try to take direct action to do things like implement zoning, and they don't have a specific statute that guides them to do it in that specific situation. In addition, the company cited something called a regulatory taking, and that's kind of an abstract concept. It's the idea that if I put money into an investment and the government changes the rules midway through the process, pulls the rug out from under me, I can sue you for taking the value of my investment. And when Commissioner Miller was up here, he talked about the idea that there's going to be grandfathering in. It's kind of the same thing. If we don't take immediate action, and laws do pass, it's very possible that these data centers could actually sue to try to get subsequent laws overturned, or at least collect damages based on the fact that right now they're operating in the Wild West. And once we try to impose order and rationality on them, they may be able to stop that too. All right, moving on from that, San Marcos. Now, this is a different situation. This is a city, so they have more authority to impose zoning and enact more specific regulations because the legislature has given them that right. After an extensive period of deliberation by the city council with multiple votes, they enacted basically a new development policy that prohibited data centers within certain boundaries in the city. That amounts to effectively a ban on data centers, which is different than a moratorium, which is just a pause. It updated their city development policy. And the important takeaway here is because San Marcos is a municipality, they have more power than a county. And so if we're striving for Bastrop County, for example, to have the authority to do what we all might want them to do, or at least provide greater input and transparency and regulation about the location of data centers, we would need counties to have authority more like what municipalities have right now, and less like their very narrow swath of authority that the legislature has provided them. Okay. Finally, Hayes County, they took a different tack, which is very informative for what we might want to pursue in Bastrop County. They have a moratorium through a regulatory pause for a specific set of industrial projects, which coincidentally include data centers, of course, because of the amount of water they use. This pause is achieved in an administrative fashion by directing county staff that are involved in the permitting process to pause permitting for a specific class of entities, including data centers, that use a specific amount of water that they aligned out. And an important innovation that they have done that none of the other municipalities or counties have really done yet is establishing some additional citizen oversight by having a high water demand development review board with public membership. In addition, because they have significant difficulties with drought and water shortage in Hayes County, they invoked additional authority that is given to them by statute to ensure conservation targets are met, and involve that in the development of the revisions to their county development policy. They also explicitly called for a legislative special session. And it's important to understand that in this case, in case of Hayes County and San Marcos, we actually have state officials that are threatening to litigate against this municipality and county to overturn this limitation that they have imposed on behalf of the citizens of their city or their county. Do I get to say the name? I think it's Betancourt, right? I think is the guy. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we're going a little bit faster through this. So I'm going to slow down for a second so I can actually flesh out the lessons we can learn from these cities and counties and implement here as a matter of discretion. So our county commissioners can do almost all this without needing the legislature to change anything. So first of all, we can demand commissioners and entities seeking tax abatements clearly identify costs and impact on water and electricity. And if you've looked at the abatement packet that was submitted for EdgeConNeX, it is light on detail in a number of ways. And so we need to and can demand additional information about what's going to happen, not only through the existing authority we have for the tax abatements, but also the governor himself has made it very clear that these data centers are supposed to be, will be expected to supply their own energy. And so asking them how they're going to do it and the impact on our electricity costs and our water costs and our water availability is entirely consistent with their authority and with the direction that the governor himself has already given. In addition, we can establish a checklist process, much like what Hill County has already done, that codifies in a streamlined fashion so any member of the public can look at all of the checkboxes and say, these are the laws that any of these entities, data centers, or anyone seeking a tax abatement has to comply with, and understand whether or not they're in compliance, what their plans are to comply, and have enhanced ability of anybody in the public to understand whether or not they're actually doing what they're supposed to receive a grant of basically special tax treatment. In addition, something that the Hill County judge did that should be affirmatively done, that can be done at little to no cost to the county and very quickly, is to release and make publicly visible, available, present, all underlying documentation related to the tax abatements in a way that anybody can click on a link and access. Again, I've seen many of these documents. It seems to me like there's more out there that we haven't seen. And honestly, if this is all there is, we deserve more. Fourth, consistent with, I think we went a little bit, thank you. Fourth, consistent with the approach that was outlined in Hays County, we should establish a citizens advisory committee to advise on data center projects and any project coming in for tax abatement. And that's an important step in repairing the relationship between citizens of this county and their government. If we are included in the process, we have a voice, we have the ability to make a recommendation, we will be better situated to both understand the cost to our county and also perhaps put a stop to some of these bad projects before they actually get off the ground. Fifth, they could pause tax abatements for data center projects until a comprehensive framework for protections is in place. Abatements are not mandatory. We are not required to abate these entities' taxes. We can choose not to do that. And so pursuant to our existing discretionary authority, we can decide to pause these consistent with what other municipalities, counties, and even the governor seem to be on board for. And last, if we want to adopt the position at the county level that we don't have regulatory authority, and so it's somebody else's problem to solve the impact that data centers are going to have on us, then take that position seriously and call for a special session. And I will take it one step further and say, you should call on the governor to use his emergency powers to correct the provisions of law that allow data centers to come in here and get our tax money and develop and take our water and increase our electricity bills, and use that emergency power that the governor has to give temporary zoning authority to county officials to carry them through the next legislative session. Because if we are serious about the idea that a comprehensive legislative fix is going to be maybe over a year away, we can't wait that long. All right, we could. Thank you. All of these steps are codified in something that I call the Bastrop Bill of Rights. It's our right to transparency, to accountability, our call for a special session, and increased authority at the county level to resolve the underlying environmental and human costs associated with data center development. I would ask that anyone who's interested in signing on to this, do so. The next step in this process is to take that petition, the Bastrop Bill of Rights, get it to the county commissioners with a comprehensive set of actual legal solutions that they can implement on our behalf, because that will call the question on them. Are they with us or are they against us? In addition, other practical measures you can take, build community and organize around your shared interest in an affordable, fair, and transparent Bastrop County. Attend the actual commissioners' court meetings on the second and fourth Mondays every month, or reach out to me and I will absolutely figure out a way to make sure your issues are addressed. And if you have refinements or ideas about how we can strengthen this Bill of Rights, I'm absolutely open to that. And something, while I have the floor, hopefully I've got a little bit of time to say, is we are often sold the myth that we are a divided people, that we do not share much in common. And I find as I look out at this crowd that to be completely farcical. We are united in so many ways by these common material issues that affect us on a day-to-day basis. Every person in here pays an electric bill, I guarantee you. And every working family faces the costs that are going to increase if we don't take affirmative steps to ensure that their quality of life and affordability in Bastrop County is preserved. Every person in here is affected if we don't have enough water for our recreation to sustain our lives, to ensure that we have agriculture and to power our commerce. Everybody in here is united by our desire for transparent, effective government that can negotiate these sorts of precise crises brought about by changes in technology or the economy. And every single one of us in this audience cares about how our tax dollars are spent, collected, or not collected. There is more unity in this room than division. And together, with this Bill of Rights, with your presence at the Commissioner's Court, and with unrelenting focus on these issues, we will win.
He's going to stick around and help answer some of y'all's questions when we get to the open mic section here in just a second. Before we move on to the open mic, both myself and Linda have a couple letters that were sent to us that we want to read out. This first one is from Butch Carmack, Commissioner Precinct 1 of Bastrop County. Please accept my apologies for being unable to attend the town hall meeting.
I want us to stop. I want us not to be negative. We need 3 votes that are going to be working with us. Do not catcall, please.
All right. Please accept my apologies for being unable to attend the town hall meeting, as I was already committed to taking my family on vacation. I want to ensure that you have a clear understanding of my position regarding EdgeConNeX developments in our community, as well as the county's role in the process. Under current Texas law, Bastrop County has no legal or statutory authority to stop private commercial businesses from purchasing land and building on their property, provided that they meet all basic requirements. The county government is heavily restricted from infringing on these private property rights. However, when developers seek financial incentives, tax abatements become a vital negotiating tool. Through abatement agreements, the county is able to legally require developers to mitigate environmental impacts, commit to local hiring standards, and secure community benefits that we could not mandate otherwise. Recognizing the rapid growth of our area, we are working on updating and strengthening the county tax abatement policy. This update is aimed at ensuring that our guidelines demand stricter environmental protections, higher community standards, and maximum transparency for Bastrop County residents. I am always available to discuss these issues and value the input of the League of Independent Voters. Please feel free and reach out to my office directly at the Bastrop County Commissioner Precinct 1 portal to share your concerns. Thank you. Sincerely, Butch Carmack. And then Linda has another couple letters to read real quick. We're about to start the town hall. Yeah. All right. If Michelle Gangus and Andy Weir will please join us up front. You're good. Okay. You're going to be answering questions on water? Okay. All right. I'm needed over here. Okay. All right. We're moving on to the open mic session where you guys can line up and ask questions and speak on the issues if you want to. What was your question? That was
I think I think what's going to happen here is that people can come up and ask a question of Nick or any of the people who worked on the video. So it's question time, but also you can make a statement. And I just want to say that there is a state representative here who's running for higher office. That's Vicki Goodwin. And I do want her to come up and talk after I read something. I'm gonna butt in front of you, Vicki, for just a minute because I think it may actually help you in your comments. And I'm really honored that you're here. Okay, so these two ladies right here, raise your hand, Sybil and Joanne. Sybil White and Joanne, I've forgotten your last name now. Yes, Queen. Okay, so they asked me to read this to you. Well, it's self-explanatory. Okay, we are retired teachers and fifth generation landowners in Cedar Creek with the sixth and seventh looking forward to the inheritance. Our great-grandparents and our grandparents and many more relatives lived, worked, and died in Bastrop County, specifically in Cedar Creek. Our father, Jack Queen, picked cotton as a teenager, graduated from Bastrop High School as a member of the CCC, the Conservation Corps, helped with the construction of Bastrop State Park, then joined the Navy. In later years, he added to the acreage and raised purebred Angus cattle. Our mother, Jewel Alexandra Queen, was born and raised in Cedar Creek. She attended the one-room school in Cedar Creek and then returned to the area to teach in a one-room school. As a family, we often return to visit relatives, pick black-eyed peas, build fences, and tend to the wells and cattle. We are very concerned about the data center that has been proposed and committed to by the county commissioners because the Wallace Ranch land is adjacent, south side to our land. We are concerned that all the steps seem to have been taken to make the data centers in Cedar Creek a done deal. The community needs to be able to investigate and be informed. The truth seems to be a secret. What does a data center produce? Why are there so many necessary? Who profits, and are tax rebates included? The first concern is the effect on the people of the noise, water usage, and electricity, destruction of the land in terms of cattle grazing and hay production. Cattle has been the mainstay of the land for many years. When asked, the experts at the previous meeting said that no studies have been conducted on the effects of data centers on cattle. The abundance of facts that are used to describe the effects of data centers on the environment include the rise of temperature around the facility by 10 to 20 degrees. The land for 1 mile radius is not usable. The constant noise has been detrimental to people and animals, and the electric bills and water bills have risen, and many more, nothing positive. An additional concern, these are for 2 people, by the way, so we're looking for 3 minutes apiece, okay? So bear with me, we're almost done. And I really want to honor these 2 women for coming here tonight. In additional concern, the north and west side of our land is occupied by Bravo Ordnance. The mission of Bravo Ordnance, as quoted from the website, to deliver agile, rapid, and lethal solutions to modern combat. It seems that the county judge supports this change of purpose of grazing land to warhead testing, as he was part of the ribbon cutting ceremony. We received no notice or announcement as to the change of that ordnance testing would be conducted. Each time a test is conducted, the windows of my house rattle. I worry that a test will go wrong and the warhead will land off target, or that facility is not safe, or during droughts, wildfire, and will be started. We feel betrayed by the elected officials whose job is to protect and preserve the community standards. We fear all the blood, sweat, and tears, and all the joy, laughter, and security will be destroyed for bricks and mortar that could better be placed where not so many people would be adversely affected. Thank you for being here. Remember, we will get back to questions too, because it is Gary Oldham on the line on Zoom? Can he talk to us? We don't know. Okay, we're going to try to do that. But Vicki, Representative Goodwin, please come to the mic.
Hi, y'all. I'm Vicki Goodwin. I'm a state representative from the Austin area, and I am running for lieutenant governor. Regardless of whether I were running statewide or not, I think we have a representative government. It is up for up to all of us as representatives to listen to the communities, whether it is our direct community or not, because the laws that I pass as a representative affect the entire state of Texas. I called last Tuesday at a press conference for our governor to call a special session on this issue. Because as Commissioner Miller said earlier, if we don't have a special session, any law that passes won't pass until next September 2027. And a lot can happen between now and then. So it's not just Bastrop, but I had my press conference with the city council members from San Marcos and the Hays County Commissioner who is running for county judge, come and talk about their experience in their community. I've also traveled to West Texas recently, Amarillo, Lubbock, Abilene, and honestly, I've been very surprised about the number of issues. Originally, I thought it was mainly the issue of water and how much water these data centers use, but it has become clear that there's so many other issues that go along with the data centers. I've learned even more tonight. So I think it's our job to listen to the communities, and I'm so glad that all of y'all are here. The governor is not going to listen to me or Commissioner Miller unless he feels a lot of pressure from people like you. So people often say, what can we do about this? You can call, you can email, you can write a letter, whatever form of communication you prefer. Let the governor know that this many people care about this issue. We need to look at the transparency. We need to make sure that these companies are not pushing the cost of new water and new electricity onto households. And we need to end the sales tax incentives. We gave $1 billion worth of sales tax incentives to these companies in 2025. It will go up to $3.5 billion. And that's not even talking about the property tax abatements. So this is a lot of money that they are getting to build these data centers. So that's all I have to say. Reach out to the governor. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. All right, so our next line item is the open mic time. We have Nick, Michelle Gangus, is she here? Oh, there she is. And Andy Weir and Gary Oldham, the fire marshal, the fire director that you guys saw in the video is available to answer questions and for you guys to speak. We are going to keep y'all to a tight 3-minute timeline. With that, let's go ahead and have our first speaker. So, Nick, if you want to come back up.
Hi, everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out and spending their time here. And I think it's very informative to have these type of different perspectives. My name is David Villarreal, and we are working with the University of Texas Research Center as a consultant. I heard somebody asking about if there was an independent consultant. And there are current data centers out there that are practically zero water using. They have absolutely no noise. They absolutely don't need the big air chillers. They are using immersion technology. There's basically 3 types of data centers: aerobatic, directed chip, and immersion. And the university is going to take it to heart at the J.J. Pickle campus, and we're going to show the environmental impact, the cost, and the differences between all 3. And I think you'll find that the evidence and the data will show, and we're not in control of it, it's the scientists that are performing this through the university, that you can have a data center that is absolutely almost noise-free. There's actually one in Houston. I sat in it. It makes much noise as a fish tank when you're standing next to the device. So there's no need for all the chillers, all the noise making. There's no lights, and it's basically oil-based. So I look forward to working with the university. Again, we're Texas Consulting and Development, and if anybody here would like to learn more about that, we would be glad to share it with you. We will publish all our information through the university. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me good? All right. My name is Preston Love. I'm here on behalf of the Texas Forward Party, a third party in the state of Texas. And kind of just the main thing I want to get out here and to let all of y'all know is, one, thank y'all for taking ownership of your community. That's an extremely important thing to do, and to be able to be involved in it and go out and actually speak your mind on what you want in your community rather than just leaving it up to chance. And so this message I'm about to have it really isn't for anyone really truly in this room, but for y'all to go home and talk to your loved ones and just family and friends about who aren't here right now, that this issue is too important to just leave up in the air and to just allow for nothing to truly happen, right? There isn't enough water, there isn't enough resources to leave this issue up to chance. So please go home and talk to your family, talk to your friends about how they need to get involved and they need to take ownership, right? You know, if this is your community, you know, whether it's been just a 1 year or you've lived here your whole life, it's important that you say, this is where I live and I'm going to go and take action. So yeah, please go and tell your family to go and get more involved on this issue. Thank you.
I have a three-part question for you, but it'll be quick and focused. To borrow the commissioner's phrasing on guardrails and the lack thereof, I have a question about the guardrails we need, the action steps we need to take, and the deadlines we need to do it. So with the guardrails, what do you see as the most important guardrails that we need to press for immediately? Second part, what actions do we take? What are the boots on the ground actions, the steps, the calls, the emails? Like, in what order do we need to take that? And what are the deadlines? When do we need to take that action by?
Thank you for that. I'm going to do my best to remember all three parts, but if I need to ask for a little bit of prompting, I will. The most important guardrail, and this is Nick Lealos. I'm saying this is a private citizen, not a matter of public interest. I don't speak for any government or any party or anything like that. The most important guardrail we would have is increasing local control on an immediate basis. It seems very unlikely that the degree of scientific inquiry and regulatory work that's necessary to go into any of the environmental decisions or decisions related to noise, anything like that, is going to be accomplished in a short order. And usually the way that goes anyway is they tend to dedicate it to like a state agency or something that's staffed by specialists. So the single most important thing we can do is figure out a way to increase local control on an immediate basis, including getting creative, figuring out ways that cities can use their power if we want them to use it, and then counties can use things like permitting to pause at least until we get a more comprehensive fix. I would say that that's the first part. And coinciding with that, we would want to make sure that the parts of county government that are involved in approval processes for data centers are actually the ones feeling some pressure, and that the county commissioners know that they have an option to pause those approvals until we get a comprehensive fix. That was a lot. What was the second part of your question?
Those are the action steps. What are the deadlines? Like, there's a lot of people ready to take action right now today when we walk out. What are the deadlines we need to accomplish these things? Well,
I don't have a complete answer on that, and I'd actually maybe ask, I know we have some other folks that might have a better sense of that, but I'd say as soon as possible for pressuring your local officials, right? And my reason for saying that is because if we're going to take that tactic, then that is not something that's relying on a legislative deadline or like an official statutory fix or something like that. That is something that we can accomplish through person-to-person lobbying, emails, phone calls, things like that at a local level as soon as we possibly can.
it's just lots of pressure right now and keep it going.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Thank you.
Hey y'all, what's going on? Are you frustrated? I'm frustrated. And I'm here to stand up before you because how many of you know that the tax abatement discussion happened in late 2024? When did people hear about it in Cedar Creek? When did people hear that the data center was coming? Well, I'm not sure. Everyone I seem to know was very recently. So I was hoping to speak and shake hands with David Glass, who represents me, but has frustrated me to no end as the Commissioner Court. I'm announcing my candidacy to run against David Glass. He's unopposed, and I think he takes for granted the position he's in. I 100% will tell you, I am someone who will talk to anyone. I've been a social worker for 35 years. Cat Hammer with a K. So You're gonna have to write me in, but I think what's most important that I say now is not take time up for people to be able to speak, is that if you want to talk to me, you want to get to know me, you want to know what my value system, what my character is, my integrity, hit me up. I'm with my Amber, my campaign manager, and she'll say that she made this lovely cat hammer website. So check it out. But please, if you have concerns, if you don't like the way I look, if you think I'm different than you, let's chit chat, okay? Because what I like what you said, this is not a us, them, this is us. This is one community. And I don't know about you, I do not like to be dismissed and told when to go to bed. And I was very close to telling Judge Klaus that I'm not his wife. And I'm not saying it would be okay to do it, but I'm not married to you. So don't dismiss me. I'm ready to speak my mind, and I will speak for you. I will fight back and will be unafraid.
That's great. Hi, my name is Cameron Dodd. I'm an electrician and the political director for International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers Local 520 that represents about 2,400 construction workers here in Central Texas. Thank you. I guess I'll turn around. Because of the state of the economy right now, cuts to the IRA and the infrastructure bill and stuff like that, data centers are kind of like the main game in town when it comes to good construction work here in Central Texas. So we've got hundreds of members just in our union working in them, depending on them to feed our families and stuff. It's a tough spot we've been put in. But we support regulations and using the tax incentives and stuff as a way to coerce these the richest companies in the world right now to building these things responsibly and environmentally friendly ways and using the smart technology for water and power generation and stuff like that. I would just also encourage everyone here to think about the labor component. Just like you can use the tax abatements or other things well, that would be great, yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can use the tax abatements or incentives to require the developers to sign on to project labor agreements that help make sure that these construction jobs are safe and well paid, and utilize local hiring and workforce development through registered apprenticeships and things like that. Thank you.
Hey, good evening. My name is Gage Counts. I'm a resident of Cedar Creek, and just finding out tonight, about half a mile away from the new Pacifico, refinery, power plant. But it's all right because I had a good day. I woke up this morning to some news. It was a gift from Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. I don't know if y'all saw this. She was caught on a hot mic talking to the CEO of Oracle, who's one of these companies one of the major financiers of the data center build out. They're behind Stargate in Abilene. She said, and I quote, "We're used to people saying, fuck no, and then doing it anyway." And I've never met any of our local officials or state officials for that matter, and I don't want to impugn anyone's motives. But I don't think you needed to wait until the controversy really blew up this year in order to anticipate that maybe people would be upset if a power plant is going up in their backyard. And so I really appreciate Kat running against Commissioner Glass, because I really think that our politicians behind this, and not just the commissioners, but on the state and federal level, need to be punished for this around the country. And I appreciate everybody being very reasonable, but I think it's fine to be a little unreasonable too. And I'll leave with just one more thing and a question over here. As I was doing research for today, I found out that Commissioner, I'm drawing a blank, Precinct 4. Thank you. Just said his name. Right. And I hope she will, because my commissioner isn't running for re-election this year. Commissioner Glass is. And I found out that Commissioner Glass who is the one who courted EdgeConNeX and invited them to come here, is also the president of Aqua, which is the water utility that they are partnering with. And I don't want to accuse anyone of any illegality. I'm not a lawyer, but that seems incredibly suspicious to me. Can you speak about that a little bit?
As much as I would love to, I am mindful of our court's interpretations of laws concerning such remarks. I think we actually have a representative from the company here as well. But I would encourage you to use the same standard that we use for virtually everyone else, which is where if there's an appearance of impropriety, that is sometimes just as damaging as actual impropriety.
Hello, I'll make it quick. My name is Holly Thane. I am the PR and Communications Director for Aqua Water Supply Corporation. We have been closely paying attention and monitoring the comments in regards to David Glass, and we understand y'all's concerns with that. We do have a conflict of interest policy in place currently. However, we are owned by our members. It's your voice that matters in our company. And if you are not representing your voice at our company, our hands are kind of restricted. We have our open board meetings every month. We invite on social media, on our website. We're very transparent. We put our information out there. We have nothing to hide. And yes, they are. Yes, ma'am. They're on our website. They're with our agenda on our website. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. They are on there. We are doing our part to work for you guys. We work for you guys. We are a 501c12 nonprofit. And it is our job. And we've been here for 56 years now. We've been a part of this community for a very long time. We fortunately do have a sustainable water source because of our practices that we have implemented over the last 56 years. We want to hear your comments. We want to hear your concerns. We are 100% here for you guys, and I'm here tonight to continue to help answer questions and clarify on any issues. So please come talk to me. I'll stand up here for any further questions. I'm all yours. Thank you.
All right. Guys, just a heads up, we have about 10 more minutes of open mic time before we have to do 5 minutes of business at the very end with Liv. So if we could limit it to people who are here to ask questions, that'd be great while we have our speakers up here. That's what we appreciate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Allison Jones. I live in Elgin, and I have 2 quick questions for Nick. So could you describe what the consequences are for the so-called Death Star bill that was passed in 2025, which I will point out to the audience was supported by Stan Gerdes, that sort of took a lot of local control away from municipalities. What impact is it having on this commission? And then secondly, does TCEQ have any remaining authority to monitor and assess fines if these data centers pollute? Thank you.
That may have been valuable information. Okay, well, we're sorting that out. I will address the first question, which relates to the Death Star bill. That bill essentially stated that municipalities, well, counties really, were the main target, are unable to adopt any law that's incompatible or seemingly incongruous with what's done by the state legislature. And that did, in fact, take a significant chunk of power and regulatory authority away from county government. And as such, we find ourselves in positions like this when important matters where local control is at stake and we would benefit from solutions that were attentive to our specific concerns could be provided by local government. We do not have that authority any longer. On the TCEQ question, I will not dodge it, but I will ask if any of our water experts can answer that question. In terms of TCEQ's regulatory authority, my understanding is if there's a violation of the terms of a permit, of course, they could pursue an enforcement action related to any entity that has a permit. So I'm going to infer without knowing the terms of EdgeConNex's permits that they would definitely be a target of that if they were to conduct a violation. Do any of our water folks want to add something? Okay. Okay. I can, so TCEQ would have jurisdiction over the wastewater aspect of it. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Tanya Lloyd, and I am running for Congress in District 27. Sorry, my allergies are bad and my voice is weird. I am the only person that's raised that has asked for a federal moratorium on data centers as of right now. My question is this, though: beyond the water, beyond the electricity that these data centers use, who has thought about regulating the actual AI data? We're talking about videos that are being made, photographs that are being doctored. Those need to be federal regulations as well. So we need to talk about that. Thank you so much.
Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Elizabeth Clance. I'm the Democratic candidate for Texas State House. And I was in line to comment that I agree with the counselor's statement that my experience as I've traveled across our district has been that these issues are nonpartisan, that we have much more in common together than separate us. And I could speak about those forever, but I know that I'm limited to just a question. So my question will be addressed to Clayton Tucker's representative standing in front of me. We've invited Clayton Tucker to come to Lexington next month, and we are hoping that he will come, and hopefully his representatives can give us some more information on that. So thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. I can chat with you about the event itself, but yes, my name is Trish Contreras. I am I'm here as a Texan and also as a representative for the for Clayton Tucker for Ag Commissioner campaign. So I'll be really quick. So I want to be able to share some facts, the facts that we're getting from folks on the ground, from actual Texans that are worried about this issue and that are already experiencing the effects of these data centers. So our team receives hundreds of emails and messages a week from farmers, ranchers, rural community members, city folks, and everyone in between working Texas who are currently paying the consequences of these massive data centers being built near their homes and schools. These are the facts. We're receiving reports of stillbirths and calves, cattle losing weight, chicken laying 40 to 50% less eggs, livestock, pets becoming ill, and acting erratic, aquifers depleting, the destruction of wildlife habitats, loss in property values, construction trucks running all day and night, cardiovascular and hearing issues, children and adults not being able to sleep, headaches, migraines, soil contamination, folks being surveilled, fire safety concerns, ground vibrations, light pollution, noise pollution, and even in some cases, acts of intimidation, and so much more. So for anyone suggesting that the data centers are inevitable, an argument that we've all heard before, all AI is here and it's something that we just have to accept. And if you don't, we'll call you out and shame you for being anti-progress, which frankly, I find comical that any outsider or paid insider for that matter to call it such, as it was right here in Texas that the populist movement began. And Texans we don't take too kindly to anyone, especially corporate power and billionaires taking our land and our resources and telling us too bad. It's inevitable. Live with it. So let me say this to them. It's not a left versus right or middle. It's nor is it an anti-progress versus progress. That's a manufactured thing to get us to divide ourselves so that they can continue to conquer us. The status quo is absolutely about the top 300 versus
the 300 million. And lastly, for anyone suggesting that the Ag Commissioner role shouldn't or doesn't have any power whatsoever in this call for a moratorium, full transparency, and for accountability measures, either doesn't understand what the rule is or prefers to look the other way. As leaders like those of us here today, including our current Ag Commissioner that I'm not sure whether he's still in the building or not, but he was gracious enough to be here today, we're doing exactly what we should be doing, stepping up, showing up, listening, doing the research, speaking to the experts, and using whatever power or platform we have to advocate for our community's behalf and for one another, while also offering solutions to safeguard the very thing that we're all here for today, and that is to protect our food, our water, and our land. And we, for one, do not intend to stop, because only organized people can beat organized money. Thank you.
Hi, so it's 2,800 acres that they're requesting to build this data center. Is massive. It is a lot. My name is Mary Santana. I retired from the Army in 2021, and we chose Cedar Creek to build our home. We are right in the corner of Dairy Road and Earl Callahan. And I have my neighbors right behind me. We have a lot of people. We have families. My 6 kids are supposed to be growing up in this area. So my question is, the letter that Andy read said that there is nothing they can do when somebody purchases a piece of land and they can do with it whatever they want. 2,800 acres, they can do whatever they want with it. But that can take them to the table to do negotiation. And my question is, when can the negotiation begin? Because if it's after the fact, we have a lot of questions that as a community we need to get answered. Like, for example, has an air quality study been conducted? A groundwater impact study been conducted? Where is the noise study? Where is the light pollution study? Where is the traffic impact study? Where are the emergency response plan? Obviously, we don't have one because, as you noticed on that video earlier, there is no way the resources that we have will be able to respond to emergency. Healthcare assessment for the people long-term. As you know, millions of Americans will lose their insurance this year because they cannot afford to pay. So we are talking about a cardiovascular disease. We're talking about respiratory conditions for our aging population. So you're just gonna leave them unattended because we're trying to accommodate these data centers. Now, I am for economic development as long as it is responsible. But this location right here, where you see all of those communities, where you see all of those families, that location is not suitable for a data center of that magnitude. And I do want to know, what about all of these studies? When will we receive a copy of those? And should they be made available? Because I tried to go and look for all of these studies and I couldn't find anything. You have to personally request them online, send emails to people. I think they should be available to the public where they can go and just look them up. Thank you.
So just so that I'm clear, this references the data center that was basically just kind of announced, right? So my understanding is that there are a couple different pieces of paperwork that are currently with the county right now. One is a request for some of the more development information, and then another is the request for the tax abatement. So to answer your question directly, when is the time to negotiate? It's like right now. And it's one of our elected officials. Now would be the time to start contacting them and trying to get the answers that you justifiably want.
Real quick. All right, we're going to be hanging, some of us will be hanging around answering some more questions at the end, but we only have 5 minutes left for the left of the building.
Can somebody explain the map?
Oh,
Please.
yeah.
Thank you.
You want to explain this? Map? I'll explain the map. Linda can.
Andy or David Sissom, anybody want to come up and say something quickly about this? David? Just let people, yeah,
This is Cedar Creek, and the outlines and colors. The color outlines are for the locations, the land locations of the data centers that have either applied or have begun construction. And so you can see the Pacifico over here on the right in maroon. You can see the Amazon Data Services project over here, the EdgeConNeX in orange. Substations, or EdgeConNeX has a couple of substations already constructed for connecting to ERCOT. Anything? Does anybody not understand it or need something?
Live in the Pacifico area. I'm your neighbor on Dairy. I haven't met you yet. Y'all may have known my husband. He's Jay. All right, I'm going to show you something. At the bottom, the yellow line going diagonal right here. That is FM 20. Okay. The yellow line to my left, or to your left right here, is 535. There you go. Okay. 535, 20, Shiloh, 21, and Walter Hoffman is somewhere up in here. And this is Earl Callahan. There's Walter Hoffman. Goes 535, if that helps you. Dairy Road is right here. When you go on 20 and you're headed to Rockney and have that big hill by the Aqua Water Tower, and it's got the blind spot that everybody tries to pass in the no passing zone. My husband catches you, you will get a ticket for that. It's right there. Earl Callahan and Evan 20, and Dairy's right here.
Okay, so listen, am I allowed? Go ahead. Okay, no, I can't. Let me tell you why we're in such a rush. We have to be out of this building at 9 o'clock or we all turn into pumpkins. Y'all need to help us wind this down, but know that this is just the first meeting. This is going to be months of hard work across party lines that we're going to be doing. So Monday, we want to see you. Come up here. Where's Lou? This is a new, young, independent, good-looking man right here. Luke Hayes is going to be helping us put together some story about this event, about your questions and the questions that are not answered yet, okay? So I appreciate it. We don't have time to really do what we wanted to do with Luke, but he's here, I'm here, and from 25 years old to 95 is Rita Ward. Come on up here, Rita. Rita's going to pull the ticket out of the bag here for the door prize, okay? But Monday, listen up, everybody, in your packets, our action plans, as far as we could get them, are in your packets. It's the last document. On Monday, for those who can, be there at 9 o'clock at the Bastrop Commissioner's Court, and we want you to be well informed about the subject at hand, which is the guidelines on the abatements. We're going to be sending that out from LIV. You need to make sure you're on our email list. Just read that last page carefully. Reach us. We will try to get everything online you saw tonight online for your efforts. We will, with Jen's help, we're going to call a meeting real soon on this big project here, the Pacifico project. I can't do this. I just can't. Rita, come on up here, please.
I'd like to say one word and listen up. Call the governor. His telephone number is 512-463-2000. That is the governor's line. Call him.
Rita can't see. It's in the packet. Okay, but what are you pulling this for? What are the people who? What's the prize?
the prize is it's not very much. It's from Van Briggle Pottery in Colorado Springs. They're not, you can go and look out online, and this is kind of a historical thing.
Okay, so get your tickets out.
I can't see.
Okay, I can barely see because I don't have my glasses on. Read that for me.
392150.
392150. Didn't work.
$392,149.
What are we gonna do? One more. No? We're gonna. One more.
392111.
All right. We have a winner, huh? That's your number. All right. You get it, Mary Liz. Okay. So read your packets, get back to us. We hope to see you on Monday at 9 a.m. And there's a lot more work to be done, I promise you. Exit carefully. And oh, guess what? We need money to raise to pay for this building, for this room. We're not done yet raising those funds. You can put money in the hat or go to LIV and donate or become a member. And your membership dues here tonight will go to help pay for this event. Right? Yes. That's Don Laux there from the Republican Club. He promises not to take your money. Put it in the hat. Don Laux, thank you very much. Thank all the sponsors, especially Michelle Rutherford, Democratic Party Bastrop, Don Laux from the Republican Club, and Carol Spencer, the Forward Party, and the people who really, really worked hard was Leslie Skurris, Michelle Gagnes, and Nick Lealos, and so many more. Love ya.
Okay. I don't know how to fold your little chair.